But I do think this is the Harris campaign looking in the rearview mirror and said, okay, this guarded media strategy that we used not only for Harris but for Biden for the last 3 years is not going to work right now. Tim Walz is supposed to be sort of the affable everyman on this ticket. He needs to be out where people can see him and can say, okay, just because he might not be as well spoken as Yale-educated J.D. Vance doesn't mean this is a ticket I can't vote for. And again, I do think he's going to be out there more.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by White House reporter Christian Datoc. Christian, we've had what might be the last debate of this election cycle, the only vice presidential debate. What was the fallout of Tim Walz and J.D. Vance finally being on the stage together?
Well, to be honest, Jim, there wasn't much fallout. The needle hasn't really moved, at least when it comes to polling after the debate compared to earlier in the week. But I think one thing that most everyone agrees on is that J.D. Vance not only won the debate, but sort of outperformed the expectations he set these last 2 months on the campaign trail. We can get into why this probably isn't a huge issue, but I was surprised. He was able to not only defend Trump, where Trump failed during that debate with Harris, he was able to articulate the former president's policy platform better than Trump himself. I mean, again, that's something undecided voters have wanted to see. More on policy from both parties. I think Vance did a strong job of that. But again, this probably doesn't move the needle too much ahead of November.
I know some people were raising the fact that Vance has done a number of media interviews, and Walz, despite the fact that he was touted as somebody who's very strong in that kind of setting, has done very few, probably not to draw a contrast with Harris at the top of the ticket. Is there any talk that maybe they will rethink their strategy toward the media?
Without a doubt. I mean, the campaign has already come out and said Governor Walz and Governor Harris are going to do more interviews. We've got that 60 Minutes interview with Harris that's going to be coming up. Donald Trump has not yet agreed to sit for the interview. There's been some controversy about whether or not he was actually invited for an interview or not. But I do think this is the Harris campaign looking in the rearview mirror and said, okay, this guarded media strategy that we used not only for Harris but for Biden for the last 3 years is not going to work right now. Tim Walz is supposed to be sort of the affable everyman on this ticket. He needs to be out where people can see him and can say, okay, just because he might not be as well spoken as Yale-educated J.D. Vance doesn't mean this is a ticket I can't vote for. And again, I do think he's going to be out there more. We've only got 30 days before the election, so there's no time to wait. The time is now to boot up that media strategy.
So is there any indication that this has budged any of the campaign's thoughts about another presidential debate? Obviously, Harris has been calling for one. Trump has said that he's done debating for the year. Has there been any movement on that front?
From the people I've been talking to, not exactly, but again, there's 30 days before, well, I guess not 30 days whenever you guys at home are watching this, but there's all of October to fill out any of these surprises. It depends on how the polling moves. If Trump feels like he's slipping behind, I think he might try to do another debate. But again, the first round went so disastrously for him. I think he's going to stick to his bread and butter, hold these rallies, visit the battleground states, and really try and turn out his base. Again, 2020 was so close with how young voters, Gen Z voters are being added to the electorate. There's no reason to say that Trump can't hold his base and again pick up some of these young voters, and then he's in the clear. Why fix what isn't broken?
Right, and I guess they could argue at this point they have a 2-1 record. The Republican ticket, at least collectively, has a 2-1 record in the debates this year.
Certainly.
Thank you, Christian. You can read Christian and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.